Today on Stewart-Cox Family News. An asteroid that's big enough to wipe out a city has a 1 in 43 chance of hitting our planet in the year 2032. But according to new calculations, there's an even smaller chance that it might crash into the moon instead. Share your thoughts and leave comments. Now let's see the clip.
The history of this, the recent history of this, and I guess the chances, if they're rising or falling, of it hitting Earth.
So this was actually first observed back in December last year, so it's actually quite a recent thing. So we're taking observations at the moment. There's a whole network of astronomers around the world looking at it and trying to work out what the orbital period is, how big it is. There's a whole bunch of unknowns at the moment. So we've seen the percentage chances of it hitting us rise from around 1.3 up to, I think the highest was about 2.3. Currently, I checked today, it's 2.1% chance of hitting us in December 2032. But that means there is, there's still the majority chance that it won't hit us. But if it does, we need to know where it might hit and what we could do about it.
Well, thankfully more than just a majority chance that it won't hit us. But yeah, a significant enough thing to be worried about. So how big is it and what damage would it do if it hit us?
Well, that's the interesting question. We know that it's somewhere in the region of 40 to 90 metres, but we can't tell currently with the observations we're doing from Earth what size it exactly is, because we're looking at it with visual light, and it can depend on the amount of reflectance of the thing. So it could be small and really shiny, so it's reflecting more light and looks bigger, or it could be really big and less shiny. So what they're going to do is use the James Webb Space Telescope to take some infrared observations and work out the exact size of it. But at about 40 metres, it could be something there'd be an air blast, it might shatter some windows, wouldn't do too much damage. If it was on the 90-metre end of the scale, we're looking at what they would call a city killer, where if it was to land on a major city, and there are a few in the potential hit zone, that would be disastrous.
How do we know what the potential hit zone is if you're talking about it not hitting for years? We can know where in the world it's going to hit, if it hits?
So there's a whole bunch of really complicated orbital dynamics, because obviously the asteroid itself has got an orbit, we've got an orbit. That's why we need to do more observations to work out exactly the timing of that. So it looks like it's on about a 4-year orbit. It's going to come back to us in 2028 and not hit. And at that point, we will definitely know enough about its orbital trajectory to work out whether it would hit us. But when it does collide with Earth, it will either come if it were, it could either come too early and miss Earth, or there's a slice through Earth where it might hit, and then, or if it was too late, it would miss us.
And the moon is relevant in this how? Because it could help us, I read on one report.
I have seen a report that somebody's suggesting that it might impact the moon rather than impacting Earth, which would be quite interesting. There are lots of instruments on the moon that are looking at moonquakes, so we'd actually then be able to work out how big that impact was. I mean, I'm sure we'd get a whole bunch of interesting science from that.
If this was heading towards Earth and got closer, are there means to which it can be blown out of the sky or not? So
NASA did a really interesting test a couple of years ago called DART, and they sent a spacecraft up to an asteroid to see if they could redirect it on its orbit. Effectively what they did, they called it a kinetic impactor, but basically they smashed the spacecraft into the side of the asteroid, and then that actually bumped it off its orbit. And we know that we can do that.
Wow, so the science in Armageddon with Bruce Willis was not that ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not sure we'd want to be sending a nuclear bomb into space. There are, some issues with where you would launch that from. But there is actually a NASA astronaut who was part of the 2021 intake who did work on drilling on oil rigs for over 10 years. So she's probably a step ahead of you on the Armageddon story.
It's one of the great films of our time. Do you agree or not?
I guess it has a place in
There we go.
That'll
be enough from a space excerpt. I absolutely loved it.